What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Elite V2. So this device was given to me by the people over at Armageddon Manufacturing when I was at VCC Tampa, and let me tell you, from the second I got home and threw a build in this thing, I absolutely fell in love. This is definitely my new go-to RDA for this particular mod here, which is the Sigeli Duo 3, since this is one of the only ones that it fits on. But with that, I am absolutely in love with the form factor of this thing. It has tons of room to build on, and it's a joy to vape on as well. So before we get into this video, I do have to state my intent by saying that I did receive this product for free from the manufacturer for the purpose of doing this video. However, it has no monetary value to me, which means my opinions on it will remain honest and unbiased, of course, as always. With that being said, I would like to give a huge shout out and thank you to the people over at Armageddon Manufacturing for giving this thing to me. I absolutely love it. So taking a look at their website, they have a plethora of different color combinations, and with each color comes a different price point. So you have the stainless steel starting off at 80 bucks, then moving up to the gunmetal and black versions, they're both 85. The brass and copper versions are 90. Then the red and black splatter version is 95. And last but not least, we have the all gold, which is $100. So there we go. That is all the color combinations you can have for the Elite V2. If you guys want to pick one of these up for yourself, I'll leave a link down there in the description if you want to check one out. But let's go ahead and go down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. What could be in the mysterious cube of wonder? Well, it's actually the original packaging for the Elite V2. So, comes in this little plastic box here, kind of an interesting look to it, and it's not something you see every day. Comes off like that. It's got like this kind of clicky feel to it. You got the little bag right here, the Apocalypse bag with the gas mask logo right there. Kind of a velvety kind of feeling sort of thing there. And we have our little goodie bag at the bottom, which come with a couple of screws. Hopefully you guys can see that there. A couple of screws which are anodized, green and purple anodized screws, which I might have to throw those on the old build deck at some point. And you get a full set of O-rings, of course. So here's the Elite V2 itself, and as you can see, some really cool engravings on here. We have a horned skull on one side, and on the other side we have the Elite 2 logo. Very, very cool. On the bottom, it is serialized. You can see my serial number there is batch 2, number 411. And each one of these decks is individually serialized, so you're going to have a different one. Some pretty standard engravings on the bottom, made by Armageddon Manufacturing, right there. Believe it is a gold-plated 510 pin, but it's hard to tell. I'm not really sure about that, so don't quote me. But in any case, it does protrude quite a bit. If you're putting this on a hybrid mechanical mod, you are going to be 100% safe. You can see the airflow on the sides here. Let's see if we can line them up. There we go. You can see the airflow wide open there, and it goes from 1 millimeter all the way up to 5 millimeter holes, and you can choose exactly how much airflow you want, as much or as little as you want, and of course that is dualed on the other side there. There is no single coil airflow, so you have to build dual coil on here or find a way to block off that airflow on the other side. You kind of have these little heatsink looking lines at the top here, but I really don't think they are actually functional for heat sinks. I think that's just for aesthetics, but it looks pretty darn good. Then you have the massive, massive Delrin drip tip at the top. I mean, that thing is huge. And there you can see the bore right down the chimney right there. So let's just quickly take that piece off, and it is a friction fit tip with an O-ring on the inside. Let the camera focus for a second. So it does have an O-ring on the inside here, which fits the drip tip nice and secure. Taking the airflow section out, you can see no single coil airflow section, just nothing but dual here. Another O-ring on that piece as well, which again, nice and snug. Taking the top cap section all the way off, you can see the build deck, and it's a gorgeous build deck at that. It uses peak insulators around the positive post. You have these gold-plated plates at the top here securing down your coils. and the massive flathead screws there. Pretty much no chance of stripping those screws. Honestly, you can really wrench on them and they're going to be nice and secure for you. I left my build in there just to kind of show you guys, give you an idea of scale. This is, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 wrap frame staple coil. And it's absolutely tiny in comparison to the overall size of the build deck. As you can see here, just a ton of room to build in, and I have a lot of spare room if I wanted to go even bigger. So for all you coil builders out there, this is going to be a dream for you guys. The juice well is 5 millimeters deep, and that is absolutely plenty for this size RDA here, because you can absolutely fill up that juice well, and your coils are just going to sip on that juice for quite some time. You're probably going to get about 20 or 30 puffs out of this thing before it goes completely dry, but that is awesome there. You can see the 3 O-rings at the bottom section there that keep that top cap on nice and secure, but at the same time they're not too tight where it's impossible to get that sort of top cap section off. So there you go, that is the Elite V2 in a nutshell. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of this video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off today with the pros, and my first pro is that you have tons of room to build. For all you exotic wire coil builders out there, if you love the multi-core fused Claptons or staggereds or anything in between, you are absolutely going to fall in love with this device because you can span those coils all the way across those 2 posts. I mean, this thing has a 25.5 millimeter build deck, so if you want to put a 8-wrap frame stapled fused Clapton in here, that should be able to handle it, no problem with room to spare. My second pro today is that you get massive airflow with this RDA, and for all you cloud chasers out there that love the high temperature, high wattage vaping that requires a lot of airflow, you are going to get exactly what you need out of this one, because the airflow slots themselves range from 1 millimeters all the way up to 5 millimeters, and you can choose to have multiple holes open at the same time. So with that, you're going to get a ton of airflow, and the best part is it's smooth. It's a very smooth airflow. I don't feel any sort of turbulence, which I really would have thought with this size atomizer here, but to be perfectly honest with you guys, it is nice and smooth, and I don't get any sort of noise out of it as well. My third pro today is that this thing looks absolutely badass. I mean, it is a huge monster of an RDA, and sitting on top of an equally as huge mod like this thing here, or I can imagine a lot of people putting it on something like the Hammer of God or other ginormous box mods out there, it just looks really cool, and that's kind of something for me. I mean, I do like a lot of the aesthetics of vaping. You know, there are certain RDAs that I go after because they look a little bit cooler. I mean, it's not really a selling point for me personally, but I mean, just look how cool this thing is. And my fourth and final pro for this device are the engravings. The engravings on this thing are impeccable. I mean, what better way to represent Armageddon manufacturing than with a horned skull on one side, and even the Elite 2 logo is pretty darn cool as well. I mean, the engravings themselves are not too deep, but not too shallow. I feel like they really stand out on this big-ass mod here. They're definitely big enough to show from a distance, and, you know, they're just really, really cool. So I definitely dig the engravings on this one. Alright guys, so moving on to some cons. My first con is that it's huge and it doesn't really fit on a lot of my mods. Now, I went around and tried this thing on a plethora of different devices, and on everything it did work, it did function, it did fire. However, it stuck over the edge a couple of millimeters and it just really didn't look right until I found that it fit perfectly on this Sigelei Duo 3, and that's pretty much where it's going to live for now until I find a nice big box mod to put it on. My second con today is that the drip tip is a little bit too big to vape on comfortably in my opinion. Now, I know it's a huge RDA and you want a big drip tip to go along with it, and everyone's kind of going after the whole wide bore thing nowadays, but this one here kind of feels like you're just putting your mouth all the way around a 22 millimeter RDA. It's just kind of awkward and uncomfortable, and I don't know, for me it just feels a little bit weird when you're vaping on it. And my third con today is that the regular round wire builds on this thing are going to be exceedingly difficult. Now, I know that sounds silly, but I just feel like this was designed more for the fancier wire types, something something with a little bit more surface area and width to it. But if you're trying to do a regular round wire build, let's say a 5-wrap 20 gauge or a 6-wrap 24 gauge or something like that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult just because of the distance between the two posts. It's kind of one of those things that's really meant for the wider build. Now, some people might mention the price is a con, but really, I think it's deserving of an $85 price tag just because, you know, you get what you pay for when it comes to RDAs, and I feel like the guys over at Armageddon are doing a very good job creating a quality, well-made product, and they're going to stand behind that as well. So if you ever have problems with your Armageddon devices, you can always reach out to them and they'll be able to help you out. So at the end of the day, would I go out of my way to purchase one of these if I didn't get this one for a review? Hell yeah. To be honest, the Elite V2 wasn't even on my radar when I was talking to the guys from Armageddon. I really wanted to pick up an Apocalypse, but here I fell in love with the Elite V2, so I'm really glad I decided to take a look at this thing, and honestly, it's going to stick around for quite some time. In fact, I feel like I might complement it with an appropriate box mod that this thing can sit on. So would I recommend it to you guys out there? Absolutely. If you're in the market for a large format RDA, then definitely take a look at the Elite V2. It is a little bit pricey, but at the end of the day, you get something that is very well machined, very high quality, and it just looks freaking badass. So definitely check out the links down there in the description if you guys want to pick one of these up for yourself. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts all about the Elite V2 by Armageddon Manufacturing or anything else you guys want to discuss. Also, check out the description below where you can find the advocacy and my social media links. You can also pick yourself up a Daily Vape TV t-shirt. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on!